What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. We at it again. You know who it is, your boy, John.
The fucking white belt slayer is sick, but I'm still fucking doing it.
Yeah, we missed 1 week. We apologize. Shit got crazy. It was
a long weekend, and I had to take a fucking nap, and I didn't wake up till like 9
o'clock. Yeah, I wasn't bugging you either.
Yeah.
I was like...
Dude, I passed the fuck out. I wasn't up till like 9.
Every day I come home, I was exhausted. Every day. So, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, we missed last week, last podcast, which is the first one that we've ever missed in like 40-some...
I think 40. I think it would have been... This was 45, maybe?
47, 45, some of the episodes. But we went to a...
It was a Gracie Humaita Annual meeting.
Yeah, an annual meeting, which was pretty freaking amazing. It was actually really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was a crazy experience, and I'm glad I got to go. It was a lot of fun. A lot of cool people, a lot of legends there. We got to meet.
In that room, there was probably a combined 1,000 years of jiu-jitsu experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you just put Paulo, Royler, and Omar together, you got over 100.
Yeah. And then all the other black belts.
Yeah. There was like 10 or 20 3-stripe black belts, like probably 10 or 15 6-stripe black belts, fucking 5-stripe black belt. It was just crazy.
Yeah. It was cool because...
Hey, hold on.
Man, why you gotta... No, we gotta go there.
You're looking thick, boy.
I'm a little thick.
What you weighing today, fatty?
I'm about 214 right now.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
That's like a 10-pound swing since last time I asked you.
Dude, just a little bit of food is like... Oh, that's all it takes.
What did you eat yesterday? Oh, that pizza.
Yeah, the pizza. I had my normal stuff throughout the day. I skipped a few meals and then just had that pizza. So
you've been cheating all week. You've been cheating all week.
No. I've been on the diet all week, or on my meal plan all week. But the
so
weekend
what were you
before,
when we came back?
I was probably close to 214 because we had the burritos and the tacos, and like we were eating what's it called? Picanha?
Oh, yeah, picanha.
We some delicious
Brazil by the Bay.
Yeah.
We got to remember the other place.
There's a place
in
San Diego. There's a place called Brazil by the Bay, and there's another one, like hole-in-the-wall kind of places. Really freaking good.
They're good, yeah.
Yeah, really good food.
That's crazy to have a fucking steak for lunch and go to jiu-jitsu afterwards.
Bro, that was rough. Yeah. That was rough. That was rough.
Especially on the
not even the steak. Like, I could do the steak. Yeah. It was the rice and the beans.
Which were good.
And the beans were delicious. Oh, man, they're so flavorful.
Dude, because it's funny, Brianna made some black beans. I'm like, why'd you make black beans? Dude, they were fire. They were like
black beans are good.
Normally, they taste chalky to me.
Really? Yeah. Maybe she made them right.
What you fucking got over there?
Oh, yeah. What got a Monster juice, mango juice, full flavor. Full flavor.
Look at this fucking banger, dog.
Yeah, that's
the big homie. I saw this at the store. I've been talking about getting them for a couple weeks. This is like 1,000 calories.
Don't look at that. No,
it's only 270.
Yeah. There's not like a lot of calories.
That one's 250.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This one's more flavorful.
I don't know. I love the regular
I don't like the regular ones.
No? It tastes like cough syrup. Trying to get all leaned out over here.
Oh, so good.
But yeah, so like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, we were bullshitting with Omar. And I was like, what, I can't get a fucking invite to the annual meeting? And he's like, oh, yeah, you can come. Mm-hmm. Then I was like, oh, shit. So we go down there, and like there was a schedule we got. And it's like, okay, this guy's going to be doing this on the first day. So the first day...
well, mind you, this is in San Diego, National City.
It's a trek. So, it's like 100 miles each way.
Yeah, so we drove every day. Next time, fucking get a hotel.
Dude, it's so expensive down there.
We can get a hotel.
Dude, like shitty hotels were $250 a night.
We'll stay at Kenny's house.
Yeah, if you can handle my snoring.
We'll stay at Kenny's house.
I snore like a motherfucker.
But basically we drove back every day. But it started at 9 a.m. every day, so we had to leave at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I was leaving at 5:30
because it was during the week. And so if you guys don't know, during the week, the traffic from here to San Diego, because everyone works down in San Diego, is insane. It's and then if there's an accident, game over.
Yeah, so we had to be there early. So I was getting there like at 8:15 every day.
Yeah, we were getting there early.
Maybe I got about 7:30. No, I was there way earlier than that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think because that one day I got there just like right before you guys did, but it was always over an hour early.
Yeah. Yeah, I just rented a car to drive back and forth. So
one car having ass motherfucker.
Yeah, it was cool though. Yeah, but yeah, having to be there early, and then it didn't end until 3 or was it 5? No,
yeah.
It was like 5 the first few days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
was 5 Thursday and Friday, and then 3.
Yeah, so it was like 9 to 12 or 9 to 11, and then it was a like 2-hour break, 3-hour break, and then you come back and train from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
And so it was just a jam packed like full day of like training every single day. which was, and that's what we're saying. We came
training. That's a kind of overuse of the word training. So the first day, in the beginning, it was supposed to be Royler showing something, but he decided to have other people show stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool because like you can see the whole idea of this meeting is not to learn techniques. It's not seminars. It's to learn how to run your school better as a teacher, as a business person, kind of all these things, and to lift up the association in general. So the first day, Royler kind of shook it up. He kind of did like a little speech, and he shook it up, and he's like, "All right, you show us a technique." And he had Paulo show a technique, and he was like, he was talking about how to teach better, right? It was more about how to teach better.
Yeah, how to like, for example, he showed something, and then he was like, "All right, go," and he goes, "No. Everyone needs to see it." So he was like, "You got to show it from different angles, let everyone see it," and yeah, exactly. When we were there, that's something I had to keep thinking to myself. It's not necessarily a seminar.
Yeah.
It was more about how do you teach?
How do you teach?
Although they were teaching cool shit.
Yeah.
They were teaching some really cool shit.
Yeah, I mean, that armbar, that Paulo Coelho, so he's, if you're into Gracie Humaita, you might know who he is. If you're not, you might not. But he owns he owns 2 schools in Austin, Texas. He's a 1 or 2 time world champion. I know one of the times he would have won the world championship, or at least would have fought for it. He closed out with Royler.
Mm-hmm.
So the last match one day was him and Royler. So they closed out, and he gave the world championship to Royler. Paulo's a savage. He's a 6-stripe black belt. He's up next. There's a group of 3 guys that are up next to get their coral belts.
He is Tim Kennedy's professor.
He's Tim Kennedy's professor. So he owns Gracie Humaita Austin, and him and Tim, from what I understand, own Gracie Humaita Cedar Park. So they own that one together, and then Paulo owns the other one by himself. From what I understand, I could be off on that. But he's super fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
He's one of Omar's best friends. Our professor's best friends from back in the day. Like, he posted a picture a couple, like maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and it's Omar, Paulo. I didn't know the other guy, and then Kleber. I don't know if you guys ever met Kleber. I didn't meet him when he came here. It was before my time, but from like '98. They're sitting at a fucking restaurant, and like there's a surfboard, and they're all surfed out and shit. But so he showed like this arm bar from like this like goon ass arm clamp with the knees, and I was like, dude,
it's really cool.
It's good.
I've been trying to hit it,
but
I'm just I don't have it down yet.
You got to be faster with it, I think.
Yeah,
because I've been trying to get to it, but someone gave me. I was trying to get it on someone, then he just gave me his neck, and I just
you went for.
I had to choke him.
Yeah.
I had to give him the paper cutter because you can set it up from the paper cutter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, it's the same kind of setup.
Yeah.
So he showed that the first, and then he picked one of the. I'm going to call them the whites and the Brazilians. He picked one of the white professors, and the white professor showed like a lasso to like a spider kind of swing.
Yeah, like
really cool.
It wasn't a lasso. It was De La Riva with a lasso.
Yep.
But then it's a transition to get to like X guard, and then you can use
that's
it to
right.
go to like single leg X or whatever.
Right.
But it was just a cool transition, which I thought was really cool how he like.
Yep.
Like he showed like if they were like grabbing your collar, how to break the collar from that grip, and like basically using your legs to do that. And then driving them over your head so that you can switch to lasso or X guard from there. So that was really cool.
Brianna does that. She'll pull the people over them with the spider, and then bring that inside foot that she's driving with. She'll bring them over and like flip them.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy how she does that. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And then again, he picked another Brazilian, and then it was Mario Aiello from Valencia, who's also another that group of 3 guys who's going to get their coral belt in the next year or 2. Mario's a fucking cool dude.
Yeah, he's super cool.
I never met him before. I never talked to him. I just seen him around because we're always around. He's always said hi to me if I seen him.
I realized one of the last tournaments that Omar was competing in, he was coaching Omar.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah. And then also, when we were in Vegas at Master Worlds, and I was standing in the show you roll line, his boys were in front of me. Corey and David, I think, were in front of me from his school.
Yeah.
And he walks up to me. He's like, "Where the fuck is Omar?" And I was like, because he knew, he'd seen us around. But Mario showed something that I get hit with a lot by Big Gabe. He'll go for that dark side Kimura, and if you guys do jiu-jitsu, it's hard to break that grip from the dark side Kimura. It's really hard to break. You either got to have perfect timing or really good leverage, which I don't get. I'm too hunched over to finish that, so I don't have a good enough leverage to do it. But then he showed the choke from there where you wrap
the gi around their arm,
the paper cutter,
and then the paper cutter. Yep.
I think we're honorary Brazilian now, so we have to say coach. The paper coach.
Yeah.
And then another one of the white professors. I can't remember where that guy was from. I think the first guy was from Missouri.
I think so. There was a lot of people from the Midwest there, which is
almost
cool.
Mostly Midwest guys. It was funny. It was all the legends and like all these Midwest guys. Like, look at all these guys here in the room.
Yeah. He showed this thing. He called it like a sleepy arm, but it was from like a reverse side control scarf hold thing, and you step back, and capture that arm as they try to shrimp out, and then sit on their shoulder, hold their opposite arm down, and then you arm bar them from there, which was pretty cool. And then what was the other one?
That was all 4.
Was it?
Yeah, but the thing about that sleepy arm thing is like, you're like, hey, that doesn't sound like much. But when you got a fucking full grown ass dude throwing their ass in your face, it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Because what it is like, let's say you got someone in the reverse scarf. So if you don't know what a scarf hold is, you're basically wrapping someone's head up with your arm, and you're sitting down on your butt, and you have their head and arm trap, right? Like a head and arm choke, but you're sitting on your butt. Well, this is the reverse of that. So your feet are facing the same direction as theirs. It's like
you're holding their legs like this. You're holding your legs.
Yeah. So it's like if you did like a long step pass and you ended up backwards, same kind of position.
Exactly. Like if you're gonna fully backstep and go to mount, but instead you land on their arm with their one leg underneath, and you're sitting on their shoulder. Yeah. And then they're fucking trapped. You're stuck there.
So from that move, what you do is you wait for your opponent to shrimp, and when they shrimp, you shrimp.
Yep.
And you basically throw your whole body on top of their shoulder, and then you triangle the legs, right?
Yeah.
Triangle the legs, and you basically push the elbow down. You push the wrist down to wrist lock him. Or not to wrist lock him, to elbow lock him, to arm lock him, which was really cool. Like when we were doing it to each other, it's pretty aggressive. Because you're throwing your whole body into their body.
Yep.
And then it was interesting. So, our association is really big on self-defense. We have a lot of high-level competitors from the older days. We don't have a lot of adult competitors now, but the older days, I mean, Gracie Humaita was the team. Mm-hmm. Like in the late 90s and the early 2000s, when all those people we mentioned were coming up, that was the team. Multiple world champions, you know what I mean? But Royler's really big on self-defense. So after he had these professors show something, he's like, hey, none of you guys showed anything self-defense. And Pedro Valente was there. And I've kind of, harped on Pedro on here before because, like, I didn't quite understand what his vibe was. Like, I thought he was using the fact that he was close with Helio, like, as a selling point. He's not. We'll talk about that more in the future. But so he asked Pedro to show some of the self-defense stuff because they're really big at his school on self-defense. And he showed it. And it's like, this is kind of corny, but like it could work, especially if you really do it the way he's doing it.
I like the way that, like, one of the things that I've seen is like they have tried to show a couple of times they've done some self-defense stuff at our gym, but it seems
a lot of the stuff from Dogi.
Yeah, it feels very. It's not made to be fun.
Yeah,
and he made it fun. Right? He made it. He's like, hey. Yeah, a lot of people aren't going to want to do this, or they may show, but he's like, you got to make it fun. And when he was showing it, the way he was showing some of this stuff, it did make it a lot more fun. I was like, yeah, that looks like it would be fun.
That's what I noticed right away. So, no disrespect to Paulo or Mario. They were good teachers, but they were surprised and they weren't expecting to show anything.
Yeah.
Also, Pedro was surprised and not expected to show anything. The ability for that guy to teach is on another level.
Yeah,
you can tell that he's been teaching probably 40 years. I think Pedro's in his early 50s.
I don't know.
And he's been teaching probably, I don't know when he moved to America. That's when he kind of opened his school. But like his ability to teach, his ability to verbally say what he wants you to do and how to do it, it's on another level.
Yeah. Well, same with like watching Royler teach. He's very like meticulous how he teaches. Like how he was saying, hey, if you're not comfortable, say stop.
Yeah.
Like make sure that you're vocal about these things. And so I thought that was really cool insight where he was like, hey, you don't want to get hurt. You don't want them to get hurt. Yeah. So make sure you guys are comfortable. Say stop if you're not ready. Those kind of things. Being vocal and communicating.
Communicating to your student when you're showing them stuff.
Yeah.
And that, which I thought was really cool. And then, Pedro showed a couple self-defense things. And then before they did a break, or maybe it was after lunch, either way, he had Leticia Ribeiro. He just walked up to her and started doing the self-defense techniques and made her react to him. And they did it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
they were like 90 techniques in there.
It was very similar to like a
demonstration.
Yeah, like if you ever
the Hickson and Royler one.
Yeah, like that, or even I mean, not to, but if you ever watch like karate or you watch
like a kata.
Yeah, like a kata.
Yeah.
But they were going full at it.
Yeah.
And they were doing the full moves. But the thing here was he didn't prep her for it. He was just doing certain things, like he was attacking her, and she was reacting it with the self-defense stuff
based on the Gracie self-defense curriculum.
Yeah, it was really
fun to watch.
Yeah, it was really cool to watch. And watching her throw Royler too.
That was the crazy part about it. It's like she was throwing Royler full blast. Royler's almost 60.
Yeah, Royler said if you're teaching and you're not willing to get thrown, you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah, you're the wrong profession.
He's like, yeah, you're going to be sore the next day. He's like, but you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with your students throwing you and teaching and being thrown and learning how to, then you're in the wrong profession. You shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was throwing him hard.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but he wrapped up his hand the next day. I think one of the times he break fall, he hit his thumb.
Yeah, I saw that.
But she was going hard on him.
Yeah.
Which was super cool to watch. And then we went to lunch. That was the day we went to Brazil by the Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Place was fire, dude.
Yeah,
I thought Brazil by the Bay was better than the other place. Devin thought the opposite.
I thought the opposite. I mean, it's not that they were bad. I thought they were both
really good. But
yeah.
I liked the way they cooked the picanha at the other place a little better.
I did. They made it well done.
Yeah.
At that place, I was like,
going back to the techniques. Someone showed something at the armbar. It must have been Paulo. Devin showed us. Our boy Devin, who's been on the podcast, was also there.
The hand.
Yeah, he showed us the thing for the armbar. Dude, if you're armbarring people, shake their hand as you pull their hand back.
Because you control and they can't escape. You can't hitchhiker. Yeah.
Did he fuck your shit up too?
No. But,
he popped my shit. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that was really cool. I thought that was a cool little technique.
Yeah.
I liked, for those of you guys who don't know Devin, he's been on here before. He's one of the Black Path, one of the Black Belt episodes that we have. Go watch it. Really cool dude. I found was really cool. One, he brought his camera. And so he's a big photographer, videographer. So a lot of the pictures we were posting were all from him.
All of them.
And then he was coming to us. He was working with us, and he was like helping us a lot with the techniques. But shout out to you, man. That was awesome to have your insight and help us walk through some of that stuff. So
Devin does the most goon, like brutal shit. Like he's not fucking doing jiu-jitsu to fuck around.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. And then, we went to lunch, whatever. We came back. And then Royce taught that evening. And he started showing this stuff. And Royce this is the first time I've ever seen Royce in real life. He actually came to our school before, but I was out of town.
Yep.
His ability to teach, and he talks really quiet.
Yeah.
He talks like this loud. So you have to listen to him when he's doing it. His ability to teach stuff and like the little details he showed on straight ankle locks, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like you could tell he's been teaching for 50 years, and he's on another level. And like maybe he's not showing like high level modern techniques, but he's showing this old school traditional Gracie stuff that would work. And then he showed that heel hook. And I was like, oh, that's ruthless right there. He's like,
cool heel hook.
That was to remind you, is like, we're still bad motherfuckers and we'll still break your shit if you give us a chance. But his ability to teach, and I picked it up probably 3 techniques in that they all linked up.
Yeah.
That it was a sequence
well,
of things.
He said that. And he did mention.
Did he?
Yeah, he said.
I picked it up pretty quick.
He said he's like, I'm not going to show like.
Oh, that's right. He did say that.
He's like, we're going to show a sequence of techniques. So it was literally like a transition. So it was from
if they get out of this,
what is it called when you tie up? So from tying up, from pummeling to a single leg takedown, and then from the takedown to a few different variations of ankle locks. But then he did show a few variations. But then the main one was going to an outside ankle lock.
Yep.
And then it was teaching the person that was getting ankle locked how to get out of that. Yeah. And then when they come up, they go knee on belly.
Yep. And
then from knee on belly, they go to a transition to an arm bar. And then from the arm bar, you hitchhiker out. And as you hitchhiker out, for the person that was getting on the bottom, the way you move your feet to transition it into a fucking triangle and then catch a triangle. Yeah. So he showed a bunch of stuff, but at the end, what got me was crazy when like he did all the techniques and we did a bunch of stuff, and he goes, okay, so now I want you to do this, and this, and he just was like rattling the whole thing off, and I was sitting there like,
but he did it. Did you watch? He did it.
Yeah.
He's like this, and he did it like in a sequence, like a little self-defense thing. Real quick before we finish the Royler part of it, so I forgot to mention on the second day, I got the days conflated here. On the second day when we came back from lunch, Pedro Valenche did a 2-hour speech about Royler Gracie.
It was a long talk.
So it was interesting. So if you guys know who Pedro is, or you don't know who he is, he's one of 25 people that have been given a professor's certificate by Royler Gracie.
Yeah, his dad
is one of them.
His dad wanted him to have. He said he thought that every kid should have not just his dad to look up to. You should have someone else to mentor you, not just your dad. Yeah. And so he took him to Helio and was basically, as a kid, him and his brother, and were basically like, he's going to be your mentor. And so as a kid, he learned jiu-jitsu his whole life from Helio and the Gracie family. Yeah. And so he grew up very, very close, like basically like family with them. Even though
they seemed like they're brothers.
Yeah.
And like the respect of each other was there. So he's doing this speech, and I really enjoyed it because it gave me a different perspective on him as a person, but also it gave me a different perspective on Helio. Like, I didn't realize Helio was like a stoic. He was more than jiu-jitsu for him.
Yeah.
And he talked about, to get one of these professor certificates from Helio, there was a checklist of things, and there was 20 items on this checklist, and only one of the items was technique.
Yeah.
The other thing was about life things and all this stuff. And
what about martial arts?
It's
a martial arts aspect of it. Yeah.
But it's really cool to see someone who was so close to basically not the inventor, but the person that brought jiu-jitsu to us. The reason that everyone does jiu-jitsu is because of Helio.
Well, he definitely seems more like a historian of jiu-jitsu and the Gracie family altogether. So I personally, the beginning of the speech was I was kind of like, it's all right. But as he got into the history and talking about stuff like that, I thought it was really cool. We started talking about the families and stuff like that. It ended up being like pretty cool. The problem was sitting there for fucking 2 hours.
Oh man, my fucking feet were my legs kept going to sleep.
Yeah, everyone was like moving around, trying to stand up. Yeah, I had to stand up towards the middle of it. I was like, I can't sit any longer. But it was an interesting perspective on the history of jiu-jitsu in the United States and the history of jiu-jitsu, period. Like from the beginning to where it is now. So it was kind of interesting.
A couple things I kind of gleaned from that. One, I don't know if you noticed the real subtle nod of respect to Royler that he did. So Pedro was there all day the first 2 days. He went home, I think, the second night. And he's from Florida, so a lot of people flew in from all over. But so when Pedro was a part of the class with us, because he was doing the techniques with everybody. I don't know if you noticed that. He wasn't just sitting there. Like when everyone was showing stuff, he was doing them. And the whole time he's wearing his black belt. And he's a 5 or 6 stripe black belt. And then when it was his turn to be the professor at the time, when he came back, he was wearing his navy colored belt.
Yeah.
And the only people that wear navy belts that I've ever seen are Royce and his brothers, the ones that got these belts from Helio. Because this is the story that I understand. In judo, there was no belts in the beginning. There was white, black, and navy. So you were a white belt until you received a black belt, until you became proficient. And then the instructor didn't wear a black belt; they wore a navy belt. That's why they do those colors, right? So, from what I understand, Helio never really wore a red belt ever. He always wore that navy belt. Yeah. It's navy in color. Blue's different. Oh. So he's wearing a navy colored belt always. And those pictures you see of him are probably the only times he ever wore red belts. I also didn't realize that when Royler was coming up as a teen and everything, Helio was like 60 years old, 70 years old. I didn't realize he was that much older. It makes sense though, because Royler talked about when Hicks and Gracie fought the big black dude. I can't think of his name right now. When Hickson fought that big black dude, before it, they did a self-defense seminar in the ring, with a big crowd, and he was throwing Helio. That's when he said, if you can't get thrown, this is not for you. He said Helio was like 70. Yeah. I don't know if he was exaggerating, but he was like 60, 70. Royler was like 15 or 11, I think he said.
Well, he was saying that, like, at this event, they had a bunch of martial arts. Because remember, back in the day, it wasn't like MMA is now, where everything's so diverse and you got a little bit of everything in MMA. It was very much, karate, boxing, judo,
wrestling.
And so each of the different martial arts were doing, what do you call it, like presentations or whatever in the ring. And he said it was like super quiet and it was kind of boring. And then
people were booing, he said.
Yeah, he said people were booing, and when they went in, and then he started throwing his dad around like a little kid. He's like 12, 13, however he was, throwing this older guy just kept throwing him around the mat that the crowd went all crazy and stuff like that.
So that was pretty cool too.
But that was very similar to what they were doing with the self-defense, where he was just throwing him around over and over again.
Yeah,
I was like, exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah, it definitely is more entertaining to watch. I was like, all right.
But going back to the second day when Royce was teaching, it was really cool, and I liked everything he had to say. He was really cool. He stepped back even further. We're not fucking brothers.
Yeah.
Everybody came up to us and was like, "Are you guys twins?" And finally, I started telling them that we were.
Dude, there was a guy, a scientist there. We were sitting next to him. He's like a DNA.
That's right. Yeah,
like some DNA scientist dude. Yeah. And he was literally like, "Are you guys sure you're not brothers? Like, not related at all?" And he's like, "Where are your families from? Are you sure your families aren't related?" Yeah. Like, he was going deep, and we were like, "We're not brothers." Yeah. And even like at one point,
have you ever done 23andMe or anything like that?
No, no. At one point, Royler brought Royce over to us.
Everybody, Royler brought like 10 different people over.
He kept bringing them over to us and be like, "Look, they're making a movie." They were making jokes about the Lord of the Rings with the dude with the axe or whatever.
The Lord of the Rings and fucking
they were saying that they don't want to make us mad because we're gonna show up with axes and shit. But literally a room full of there was like 60 people in there, and all of them
75.
They just kept coming up to us. Everybody was like,
people kept referring to us as the twins.
Yeah, the twins. Yeah,
they were telling us later on that they were referring to us as the twins.
when they, at the end, like at the end they give you like your little plaque or certificate or whatever. Like he called me up there. And then I get it, and he goes, "Where's your brother?"
Yeah,
so I'm like,
because he had it next.
Yeah,
he knew our names because I mean, it's hard to get someone's attention like that.
Yeah,
but because they kept coming up to us, he figured out our names the first day.
Yeah.
So he kind of takes the time to know everybody's name. Like I said, he texted me when I signed up and everything. Said, "Hey, you're all good. I got your check. Blah blah blah."
Yeah.
But yeah, so he saw my name next. He's like, "Where's your brother at?"
Yeah, he's like, "Where's your brother?" Everyone just starts laughing. Yeah. It was pretty funny. It was a lot of telling people we're not brothers over and over and over and over again. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and then so Royce, I can't remember where I was going. Royce showed a bunch of really cool shit. The way he taught, the way that he strung the techniques together was really cool. And then we went to lunch and we came back, and the fucking most savage dude in jiu-jitsu did his class.
Yeah.
Half Gracie.
Go
look up Half Gracie.
That was crazy.
I fucking love this guy.
Yeah, it was legit. So Tim Kennedy was there.
Oh, that's right.
And Tim Kennedy was kind of biased. And then we were talking about the technique or something like that. And like even Tim Kennedy was like, man.
He came over sweating, like getting a drink of water, and he was like, and I looked up at him, I was like, and he was like, that's some brutal shit. What did he say?
He said that's some dirty shit or something like that. And I was like, when Tim Kennedy's saying like this is some dirty shit, this is some good shit. Like House showed some really, really, really cool stuff that I thought was
some of the most aggressive jiu-jitsu techniques.
It's definitely my type of game.
Mine too.
Very smashing, very heavy, very stack passing, very just grindy type of moves. Yeah, I fucking love them.
Also, like besides like his aggressive technique, which I like, his ability to teach,
he's really good as well.
On another level.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, all those guys are really good. You can, like we were saying, like you can tell that they've been teaching for so long.
All the Brazilians.
Yeah, that they pay attention to the little details and they explain things the right way. And then technically it's not a seminar, but they were walking around and they were like correcting people and doing things. The one thing
I say at my face when he says that.
Yeah,
there's a reason my face is like this.
The one thing it was interesting to watch is when Half was showing his stuff, he kept going through black belts because they kept tapping. And he's like, I'm not even
I'm not doing it yet.
He's like, I'm not even doing the technique yet. Like he would start the technique and he would just the very start of it and they were tapping. And he's like, brother, I'm not even doing the technique yet. Like we haven't even got to the submission yet.
Yeah, he went through like 5 people.
Yep.
And then so he ended up doing it the most to Fabricio Camões.
Yeah.
Who's he runs that school down there. It's him and Leticia Ribeiro that run that school. And I think it was so the reason I made that face for them when he said he kept they were walking around. So me and John are doing it, and we probably did it 10 times each to each other at that point, and Devin was kind of working in with us, and we were sitting there talking about it. You were trying to explain to me the ankle lock with the gi.
Oh, right? That was with Royler. Yeah.
So Royler walks up to me, and I've been talking about it here. My ankle's fucked up because of fucking little Derek's bitch ass. It was feeling great. It was still a little bit sore, probably like 80%. Royler grabs my shit, and I just look at John because I was making John do my other ankle.
Yeah. So we're practicing the technique, and I'm doing the opposite ankle.
And opposite side for you.
Yeah,
so
and opposite side for me. And so then Royler's watching, and then he's like, no. And then he's like, here, let me show you. And then I get up, and then he grabs his ankle, and he grabs the ankle that he's like hurt on, and then he's laying on the ground, and I'm looking at him, and he looks up to me, and his face is just like, and I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is he gonna be a little bitch? Is he gonna say something? And I was like, is he gonna be a bitch and say something is he really gonna tell Royler that's my hurt ankle?
No, sir, I am not. Never disrespect Master Royler. I said, please, Master Royler, it's a huge honor for me to let you pop my shit. Yeah. This dude fucking popped my ankle 3 times.
Yeah.
He popped. I know he felt it. Because it popped, and he kind of stopped and just looked at me, and I was like, And then he did it again, and it popped again, and then he stood up, and he grabbed my foot, and like it's like this. And he's like, yeah, you just go like this. And it was like, clack, 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 clack. And I was like, Jesus.
That show was hilarious.
And then so I think it was that day or maybe the next day I was laying down. And I was just, because like we were standing up for hours at a time on my hurt ankle. So I'm laying down just trying to elevate my ankle just to get pressure off of it. And Fabricio walks up to me and he starts like massaging my calves. He's like, it's been a long day. And I was like, it's not that. I was like, Royler popped my ankle yesterday. And he looks at me like his face changed. And he was like, how do you think I feel?
Yeah.
Because he was doing the technique for like 20 minutes with Half.
And Half kept, he fucking him up. That shit was hilarious.
I know he popped his shit at least once.
Yeah. Dude, that was such a good time. That was so funny.
Yeah.
I liked the vibe in the room was really cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was very.
There was no like big dick energy in there.
Yeah.
Everyone was on the same vibe. And like, dude, like when the vibe was cool. And then almost at the start of day 2, Tim Kennedy walks in. The vibe in the room fucking changed.
I don't think it changed that much.
It changed. I think everyone was like,
I think well, everyone was just kind of starstruck.
Yeah.
I'll say this as it. I thought it was cool that Tim Kennedy is probably was in terms of a lot of famous people in there, right? Royce, all these guys, most relevant right now
from our
probably
association. Second most relevant from our association.
Who?
Tim. Most relevant dude from our association is Robert Whitaker.
But I mean, famous right now.
Robert Whitaker's probably more famous.
Tim Kennedy is famous outside of jiu-jitsu.
He's not just. You know who Robert Whitaker is?
No.
Oh, UFC champion.
Yeah, but Tim Kennedy is not just famous.
I guess he's on TV and shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I say relevant, he's like he can walk anywhere right now, and a person that doesn't do jiu-jitsu is going to know him
because he's on Fox News all the time. He's on TV all the time.
And so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But he came in and was super quiet. He was asking questions as the techniques were going on, and it was cool to see like he sat down and like he was very humble about like he wasn't like, oh, I'm the famous person in the room, Yeah, it was really cool to see that like that.
They have almost the same amount of followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Tim and Robert. So, but the even cooler thing about that is, so everyone's afraid to ask questions. So at the end of every of these little seminars inside the main seminar, they're like, okay, what's your questions? And people are asking Royce. And he's like, you guys don't have any questions about like the UFC or anything?
Yeah.
So all these people are asking him these old school questions about the UFC. And Tim Kennedy's just sitting there like smiling. It's like he was just in the UFC.
Yeah.
One of the most savage dudes of all time in the UFC. And then Fabricio Camões was also in the UFC.
Yeah.
And they're asking all these questions about the UFC. It's like you got these guys who are newer and more relevant to the sport sitting here. And you're asking the old school questions, which was cool to kind of hear about it. I'm sad that he missed one of the questions. So twice people asked him, why are you the one that fought? Why did they not pick Hickson or why did they not pick Royler? Because they both already had pro fights and they would wanted to strike more. Because if you watch those fights with Royce, he didn't really strike very much. And they told him, only use jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he said no, not to make them bleed.
Yeah, not to make them bleed, just to do jiu-jitsu. But the last question he got asked like that, that's not what the guy asked him. He thought that's what he asked him. He asked him, whose idea was it to fight in the kimono?
Yeah, he answered.
No, he didn't.
He said it was his dad.
No, but because he thought the guy asked him, who picked you?
No, he answered. He did answer. He said,
"No, I don't think so."
He did.
He did answer it. But
no, he told him. He said,
but he didn't like elaborate on it.
He didn't elaborate.
Yeah.
But when they asked him, he said his dad. He said
but
Helio told me.
At that time, if you go back and you watch the old school like Vale Tudo fights from that time,
there were speedos and shit.
Yeah, they were fighting speedos. Yeah. No one was fighting in the gi.
Yeah.
So it was cool that he came out in the gi and whooped everyone's ass.
Yeah.
With an anti-weapon on him.
Yeah.
Because the gi.
Because they could have used it against him.
They could use it against him. Yeah.
Yeah, but no one knew that gi wasn't a thing. Well, jiu-jitsu gi was, they didn't know it then. So, but yeah, it was really cool. I felt the vibe there was cool. One of the things that I liked is that obviously we're mid-level, we're purple belt or whatever. And when you go to a gym or a school, usually the black belts are teaching, right? Yeah. And they're always teaching techniques or whatever. What was crazy for me was that there's a room full of black belts, and then Half was teaching a move, and that same feeling I get when I see something new, I'm like, oh my god,
you can
like,
tell
that's
like
crazy.
That,
all of them are that, and that's like you don't see. I haven't been around it enough where I see like a black belt
upper
learn
levels,
a technique and be like, oh damn, and that like you see the wheels spinning in their head and like the light bulb clicking and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because they tend to know most of the stuff that I'm gonna know. So to see that in a room full of black belts, fucking like be like see their minds and like, dude, this is crazy. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's freaking cool.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. And a lot of the techniques that we learned, I've really tried to mental note and really try to remember and been trying to work on them this week because I don't want to forget them. Some of them are really, really good, and they're the ones that House showed are not I've never seen some of the ones he showed ever. And so like he showed how to a good lasso guard escape into like a pass or a submission, which I thought was fucking gnarly.
Did you notice the way that he did that lasso escape, like the way he was hunched over at the time? And one of the other black belts, like he's like, let me, and like he showed him, and he was like, no, you have to fucking bend over, dude.
Yeah, you have to bend over. Yeah,
Half is 50.
Yeah,
that's crazy that he's bent 50 with a lifetime of jiu-jitsu on his body, and he's still doing it. And it's funny he mentioned that he when he was showing that bucket choke with the like the gi version of the bucket choke. He was like, yeah, you do this because jiu-jitsu guys' necks are fucked up.
Oh, no, that was the other move. That was from the side control to make their body turn.
Oh, that's right.
He did mention, like, he was showing another technique that relied on a lot of pressure on your neck. And what he was saying was that the reason this technique works is because jiu-jitsu people, our necks are all fucked up. Like, you can't turn them all the way. And I was like, huh. I was like, it's very true because my neck, I don't have full range of motion.
I remember part of that technique. You'll have to show it to me again.
Yeah, I remember.
I can't remember that whole thing.
Yeah, but and then when they were asking Half about one of my favorite answers, someone was asking about jiu-jitsu or why he loved doing something, and then his final answer was like, and I like hurting people.
That was me.
Like, was it?
I asked him. I said, different from the other Gracies I've experienced. How'd you get like this such aggressive some style? And he just laughs and he was like, because I'm from the hood.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not from where these guys are from. And he points at Royler. He's like, because I'm from the hood. Then he goes on this long speech, and then he was like, also, I like to hurt people.
I like to hurt people. I was like,
everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I was like, hell yeah, that's what's up.
Half is a gangster, dude. Yeah. Like, however you want to feel about him, go look him up. Yeah. Just go look up his YouTube. Go a couple stories down.
For me, it was like the whole experience of going was pretty cool. But then at the end of the night, they were like, hey, we got.
That was on the next day.
Yeah, the second day.
The third day.
Well, mind you, this was on the cusp of UFC 300.
Yep.
Right?
The weekend of UFC 300.
The weekend of UFC 300, you have Royler, you have Royce, you have Tim Kennedy, you have Fabricio, both UFC fighters, ex-UFC fighters. You got the legends of the UFC in there. Like,
the family that started the UFC.
Yeah, Megaton was there. So you got Mackenzie Dern. If you don't know Megaton, Mackenzie Dern's dad is in there. And
you know what's funny about that? So Mackenzie Dern's dad, Megaton. If you don't know who Megaton is, he's a coral belt jiu-jitsu.
The only coral belt competing still.
Yeah, he's the only one still competing. He's the only person who's done every Worlds ever.
Yeah.
He said he's got 3 more years. That'll be 30 years of the Worlds. He's going to do the first 30 years, and he's done. So he walks in the room way fucking late on the second day or whatever, and everyone stops and goes up to him because he's the highest ranking belt there besides Royler.
Yeah.
And everyone stops and shakes his hand and everything. And then Royler's like, okay. We all know the boss is here. Can we get back to doing this? And then during the last day when you weren't there, he was talking. And Royler looks at him. And he says something. He's like, it's okay. You're the boss. He's like, you're the general or something like that. So, the OGs of jiu-jitsu, like, how many coral belts are in the world? Maybe 50?
Yeah, I don't know.
One of them was in that room.
Yeah.
And the next 3.
Well, 2 of them.
2 of them. Yeah, sorry, 2. Yeah, Royler 2.
But the next 3...
the next 3 up. So you have
4.
Well, Paulo Coelho, Mario Aiello, and Lema.
And then
Lema.
And Omar.
Yeah, but Omar's like 3 years behind them.
Yeah.
Like all 3 of those are together.
Omar has 4 more years.
Yeah, but those 3 are together.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying the next 4.
Yeah. So, are in the room. So there's probably other 6-degree black belts out there floating around, but there's not that many in the same room at once.
Yeah.
Which was super cool. But so the day before UFC 300 popped off, Devin pulled me aside and he was like, hey, we got this spot to go watch UFC. And I was like, cool. And then so on the Saturday when the UFC was happening, it was all self-defense, dude. Everyone was fucking worn out.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there at lunch, and I heard Fabricio talking to someone about the UFC, and I was like, so who do you got tonight? And he tells me, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. But he looks around. He looks left and he looks right, and he was like, hey, tell your brother I got a spot for us to watch the UFC at. And I was like, all right, cool. So they invited us. I think they ended up inviting everyone, but at first they didn't because it was only for 30 people. It was supposed to only be for 30 people. So they invited us to go watch the UFC, and we're at a bar with like the most legendary jiu-jitsu.
It's crazy.
One of the people who's at UFC 1, because his brother started UFC 1, he was cornering his other brother who won UFC 1. And we're sitting there just watching the UFC with these guys, and I don't know. It was before you came down. I was upstairs with all the quote unquote normal folk. Because when I first got there, the old school dudes were at a table eating, talking to Devin. Devin was sending him some video or something.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to interrupt those guys. They're all eating their dinner, you know. So I walk upstairs and I'm bullshitting with Professor Isaac, and then I get a text, hey, "Come down here." So I didn't tell you. I just went away. And I'm standing there with Devin, and it's like, and all these dudes were like the coolest fucking guys. Like everyone had something good to say. Like I talked to everybody individually. Like this guy Lamau, if you don't know who he is, what's his real name? Do you remember his name?
Lamau? Is it?
Lamau? No, that's not his name.
Oh, I don't know. I just
so he's famous because he was the first purple belt in America. He's the first Brazilian purple belt in America. So Rickson brought him to the U.S. to help him run his school in L.A. when Rickson opened a school in L.A. and he wanted a Brazilian to come help him. And Lamau is the one that went. It's like Lamau, but they say it different in Portuguese. So he brought him. So this guy was under Rickson directly and taught at Rickson's school for like 17 years in L.A.
Yeah.
And again, if you know anything about jiu-jitsu, Rickson is the living legend.
Yeah.
He is the most legendary guy in jiu-jitsu, hands down. No one comes close to him.
Yeah.
The only person more legendary in jiu-jitsu.
He runs the school in Maui.
Maui Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So he's actually not a part of our association, but he came up with Royler. He's under Royler. His black belt's actually from Royler, I believe, in Holker. And it's fun. Did I tell you he invited me to his coral belt party? He was like, "You have to come to Maui when I get my coral belt." And I was like, "Fuck, say less, dog. I'll come." But we're sitting there talking, and I just started asking him about his history because I knew a little bit about him because they're like, "Oh, that's Rickson's guy," and I was like, "Oh, I've seen that guy before." I went home and I looked him up, so I knew about his history. And dude, I got into like a 45-minute conversation to him about jiu-jitsu and all this and stuff. And
I think that's why when I walked up when you guys were talking. Yeah, and then we started talking.
Yeah, and then I asked him. I was like, so you know, you're a black belt from Royler. You were under Rickson forever. So whose style do you have? You have more of Rickson's style or more of Royler style? And he's like, that's a good question. I don't think everyone's ever asked that. And he's like, but if you ask my students, they have the Lamau style. He's like, I came up, you know, I took what they do and I melted my stuff into it and I came up with my own style. But he's like, it's definitely based on their stuff. Yeah. Which was really cool. And man, everyone there was super cool. But it was funny, there were some goobers down there talking about grappling. Like they were kind of being loud and drunk talking about grappling. And I was like, do these fucking dudes know who they're standing next to?
Yeah, these guys.
Yeah, it's like
it was weird. It was pretty surreal. So they get the club. They gave us an upstairs area, like a VIP room upstairs. But then it was packed, and so then we went.
It was hot as
yeah, we went. It was hot up there too. So we went downstairs, and then you know, like clubs have like those little nooks that are like VIP,
a bottle service room.
Yeah, like bottle service rooms. So they ended up opening that up and giving us our own fucking room there as well. And then I was like, we're just sitting there and like all these guys here, these legends watching the UFC, and it was like surreal to be like, holy fuck, we're watching the UFC with these fucking guys, like with Royler and fucking. And then like before you showed up, because I got there early, I went upstairs, and then Royler came up, and there was no seats, so like he came up, and then we just sat there and like we were just talking for a bit, like probably like 10 minutes, just talking, and like afterwards, I'm like, this is insane. Like for me, I'm like, dude, it's so hard. Like I'm just like, what the fuck? Like how did I end up here? Like this is crazy to be in a place where like where I meet Tim Kennedy, where I meet Royce and Royler, and they know my name, and like they're like, and it's not like just know you. Like we're having friendly conversations. They're asking about me. They're asking like we're having.
But did you notice a lot of people were afraid to talk to them?
Yeah,
I think that's why they liked us because we were just like rolling up there, like, "What's up?" Well, there's like, we're all dudes. You know
I do think there's a difference too because they've been to our school.
Oh,
a lot of these guys, the guys, that, like there was a lot of.
Well, Royler got promoted at his last promotion at our school.
And so they've been to our school. It's not like I haven't talked to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm still like, wow, this is crazy. But at the same time, like, I've met him a few times now. And I'm not like if it was the first time meeting him, I'd probably be like, oh, shit. And a lot of people, it's their first time meeting these guys. So
you want to swap that battery and we'll keep going?
Yeah. Let me swap the battery. We'll be right back.
We were talking about just the conversations and everybody. So, Megaton rolled up a little bit later than everybody else. I don't know where he was at, but he rolled up a little bit later. I walked right up to him and started ear beating him, dude. I just started ear beating the shit out of him.
You know, I like Megaton.
They were all happy to talk about it.
Yeah, they're very. I think you're right because I talked to everybody there, and they were like, maybe they just. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
But I also wasn't like, how's your day? I was like, tell me about jiu-jitsu, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Well, they love talking about jiu-jitsu.
They all love talking about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. But yeah, when Megaton was there, we were talking with Megaton at the bar. At the bar. Yeah. We were hanging out.
It was like a table in a bar.
It was a table at a bar. So we're talking to him, and a couple. I found.
By the way, if you don't know, that boy's jacked.
Yeah, he's fucking swole as fuck. which leads to part of this conversation.
But keep going.
So, one, we were talking about competing, and it was like he just competed at the LA Open, right? The Open?
No, he competed at one somewhere else.
He's trying to make
it was LA Open.
Because he's trying to make it to Worlds, Worlds.
And unfortunately, he's never won the Worlds, so he still has to get points. He has to win points.
But he was very honest. He said, "Look, I know I'm old. I'm not going to win adult Worlds, but why not make it? Why not get there and like compete if I can?" Like, and I was like, "Dude, that's a fucking that's the mindset." Like he's like, why not? Like, what do I have to lose? Yeah. So he's still trying to make it and qualify to make it to the adult Worlds and compete at adult Worlds, which I thought was fucking cool.
And he's 50, I think?
Like 57 or something like that.
Oh, that's right. He did say he was older. But it's funny. So, like, he was like, people still kind of get shook when I roll up. You know what I mean? And it's like, I would fucking be shook, too, if I rolled up on Megaton.
Yeah.
But it's so earlier in the day, after Hal showed this technique
during the break, people for some reason rolled up on Megaton, and they were like, "Show me this and that." So Megaton's holding all these people in a De La Riva guard, and no one's passing it. Nobody passing it. Lasso. Yeah. First he was doing. Hold on, he was first doing De La Riva, but he was first doing De La Riva Spider, right? Yeah.
Nobody was passing this shit, and then they're like, well, "What about the lasso?" And he did. I saw him like stop.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right. And he goes to lasso. And still, everyone's having a hard time. So when I was talking to him, and when he was saying that about being old, I was like, I saw nobody pass your guard earlier.
And then, he said until they asked him to do lasso.
And he was like, that's not my game. He was like, I don't play lasso.
Yeah,
he's like, that's asking someone that doesn't play something to see if they can pass it. He's like, he's like, I don't play that.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny.
Which makes, if you ever seen his hands, he's got really, he's the epitome of jiu-jitsu hands. But now, when we were talking to him, he was saying, he's like, my game is spider to guard, which now it makes sense why his hands are so fucking crazy because he does spider guard. But then I was asking him, I was like, look, obviously you fucking work out, you're lifting and shit. So I was like, what is your regimen? And he did break it down a bit, but in short, he basically said he lifts 7 days a week. He does one muscle group a day. So if he does chest, shoulders, biceps, back, one muscle group a day, and he does abs
every day. So
that's my new thing. I'm going to start doing abs every day. Every day. Dude, Megaton's abs are fucking insane, bro.
Yeah, Bobby does abs every day.
Does he?
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing them every day. Yeah. But, we're sitting there having a good conversation with him, and then these kids were like...
Hold on, let me tell the story a little better. So there was all belts at this thing, right? There was even 4 or 5 white belts.
Yeah.
And there was this kid, I was teasing him. Big white boy. He was a white belt. And I was just giving shit to him because he's a white belt. I was like, you know what they call me, motherfucker? And he was like, what? I was like, the white belt slayer, dog. And he started laughing, but he was at the other bar, which was outside. So there was 2 bars, an inside bar and an outside bar. And there was more it was a little bit more public-y in the outside bar.
Yeah, in the outside bar.
And so he's talking to this kid. They're both did jiu-jitsu. I'll tell the story why, they know. And he's talking to this younger kid. I think he said he was 23 or 24. Yeah. And he looks over and he's like, is that Megaton? And he was like, yeah, let me introduce you to him, right? So me and John are in a 25-minute conversation with Megaton, and this kid's just standing behind him like this. And I was like, Professor, I think this kid wants to meet you. And he turns around and he fucking turns it on. He turns on and starts chatting with the kid and shit. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. And I was like, hey, Professor. And he looks at me and I was like, look at that kid's shirt. And he looks down, it's a Gracie Baja shirt. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? He's like, I can't talk to you.
He was like this. He was like this on the kid, like leaning on him, talking with him. And as soon as he's pointing out the shirt, he's like, oh, and he's wiping himself off, oh my God. It was fucking hilarious.
And then I kept going over to all the Brazilians because those people hung around for a little bit. I kept going over to the Brazilians. I was like, look at that kid's shirt over there. And one of them was all, fuck Gracie Baja. And I was like, yeah, dog, fuck those fools. Let's go jump them.
But it was all love, though. It was super fucking cool. Dude, it's just, I can't explain it. It was an experience for sure. Just the whole, from the start to finish, but then hanging out with them at the club. And like you're saying, they're all super personable. They all enjoy talking about jiu-jitsu. They all enjoy talking about it. And then
Megaton and Lamobes both started training in the 80s.
Yeah, in a long time.
40 years. Over 40 years they've been training, and they still fucking love talking about it, dude.
Yeah. And then Fabricio's wife was there, and she was coming up to us, and she's asking me, she's like, are you sure you're not brothers? Are you sure you're not brothers? And this fucking guy, he's like, what did he say? He said,
we're married.
Yeah, we're married. And she fucking lost it.
She walked over to everybody. She was like, they said they're married.
Yeah, they said they're married.
Yeah. And then finally, she's telling Paulo, and Paulo starts laughing. He was like, which one's the husband? And I was like, obviously it's me. And he's like, no, I think he's the husband of John. And I was like, all right, but my jiu-jitsu's better. And they're like, oh yeah, I'd rather have better jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
like
I'd rather have better jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And I started talking about that when the camera died, but I kept trying to bet all the Brazilians, like all the higher level dudes. I was like, hey, I'll bet you guys on this fight. And they're all, and I was like, I don't want any money. You just got to let me tap you in front of everybody. And they're like, fuck that. No fucking way.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is hopefully, if it all pans out, we've got a few people lined up to bring on other black belts that are going to be fucking legit as we get through and have them on the podcast. Some legends on here. So
did you notice that older brown belt, real tall white guy? His name was John.
Yes.
So that guy's actually not from Gracie Humaita. He's from Studio 540.
That's in LA, right?
No, it's in La Jolla. That's kind of how he is there. Him and Royler are boys. He owns a surf shop in La Jolla.
Oh yeah.
But he was telling me about his workout on Sunday when you didn't go. He was telling me about his workout. I was like, well, I'd really like to get him on to talk about it. I was like, I got to hear about this. And he's like, yeah, man, just hit me up. No, so I followed him on Instagram. I'm gonna see if he'll come on. But dude, he was telling me about he was telling dude, he was telling me about his workout. I was like, I think he said he was like 58 years old. I was like, what?
He looked older.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's like, that's all I do. He's like, I don't do that shit. This is what I do. But what he was talking about doing was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was such.
Everyone was super cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it was cool to hang out with people outside of training.
Yeah,
like to hang out and be like personable with them because we had lots. There's like all the different conversations happening, and then you're watching the fights together, and like. It was just super cool to watch.
It was really cool that those guys, it's like they weren't better than us. You know, they weren't like fucking like all elitist.
Yeah, they weren't elitist. Yeah, 100%. They were very much like we're nobodies, and they're fucking talking to us. And they were super interested in the podcast. Somehow.
I was telling everyone.
Well, a lot of people.
Omar did too.
Omar was telling people, and a lot of people were asking about the podcast and stuff like that, and they thought it was fucking cool. So, And I thought maybe one of the guys was like he was talking. And then he goes, I'm going to stay quiet because you guys have a podcast or something like that. He's like, I don't want this to come out on the podcast. I don't remember what it was. I was like, don't worry about it. We're not going to fucking.
We're not talking in detail.
Yeah, we're not going to fucking.
I wish we could tell you guys the whole story.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff.
The whole story.
There's a lot of stuff we can't. We can't really talk about. I mean, you guys know how that works. You go out and there's things you just can't put out there.
But everyone was super fucking cool, man. Like, just everyone is just like dudes that love jiu-jitsu and they were happy to talk about jiu-jitsu and like. You know, I'm pretty sure that's who he was. Professor Ricardo from Temecula. I'm pretty sure he was showing John that the north-south choke.
He was showing the north-south.
He was showing it to him, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to do it to me so he can watch?" And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Man, that's just fucking." Ricardo's older. He's probably 50 something.
He's so
and
fast.
He's like 175 pounds.
Yeah. He's good.
Dude, he put me in that fucking north-south choke, and he was talking, and I was like, I can't tap yet, but I need to fucking tap. And I was like, he might put me to sleep right now. He came at me with so much pressure.
He was showing. That's another thing. It was cool because during the break between like the day, like lunch and stuff, people were still hanging out, and it was just a bunch of black belts, like showing their showing their like their
spices.
Their spices, yeah. So just you sitting there just watching, and like Ricardo was showing a half guard escape where. Like I would have never thought about it because you kind of feel like you're putting yourself in the bad position where you're like, let's say you're in half guard, you take your arm out, you literally put your hand on the mat, and then you slide your knee out a little bit and you backstep and you trap it, and now they're stuck. So now they can't use anything, and you wait, and as soon as they posture up, then you pop over, slide, get the underhook, and slide out. Now, but he was doing it like.
Yeah,
he was very fast. Really fast.
It was funny that dude John.
Sorry, man. The camera's dying. Not the battery. It's hot as fuck out here. It's actually not that hot, but for the camera,
it's hot. Yeah,
it's overheating. So we got the fan on it. We got to find a solution for this shit. Either way.
I'm not done. I got one thing.
All right, go.
So I don't remember where I was. So we can't go back to that story. But so on one of the days, John and I drove down there together. Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, so we drove down there Saturday together. Do you remember what you told me?
Nope. I don't remember shit.
This motherfucker
making shit up.
This motherfucker said that he could sub a Navy SEAL.
Oh, this fucking guy. That's not what I said.
I need to see in the comments.
That is not what I said.
That is what he said.
That is not what I said.
I have it in my notes. That's what you said.
That is not what I said.
What did you say?
He's twisting my words. I was saying that I don't
Continue.
remember
Yeah,
the conversation.
what
it
did
was
you
something
say?
to the effect that
I don't remember. You're
it was
talking
something
about
to the
going to like
effect,
a steel bar.
yeah, well, because you were asking about bars or whatever, and I was like, oh, we can go to like if you want to go to these bars, whatever. And I was like, I'm wondering how it would compare, like jiu-jitsu, like someone that does jiu-jitsu to someone that maybe a Navy SEAL that doesn't train jiu-jitsu or something like that. How it would handle. I didn't say I was gonna be able to fucking beat up a Navy.
Yeah, he's
SEAL.
like, I could take him.
Yeah, right. Maybe. No, fucking
See,
joking.
He said,
joking.
I want to hear in
joking.
the comments.
It ain't happening.
I need y'all to tag some Navy SEALs. Let's go get Goggins.
Let's go. Yeah.
You think you can beat Goggins in a grappling match?
In a grapple? Yeah. He doesn't do any grappling.
He's got a lot of cardio, though.
He does. He does.
I bet he's real wired.
He wouldn't give up.
I bet he'd come like a spider.
That's the thing. He wouldn't give up.
He
That's
wouldn't
like
Josh or Joe.
What was that video that I showed of that girl? She broke her arm.
Oh yeah, Tammy
She keeps
Michimichi.
going like you have to choke. Yeah,
Tammy won that fight.
Is that her brother?
Yeah,
Michimichi?
that's her brother.
It is her.
Mikey's
shit.
her brother. Yeah, that's his sister.
That makes sense. Why she's so fucking.
And she's
savage.
a lawyer. She was a lawyer while she was doing that.
That's insane.
Savage.
But you'd have to choke him out.
That's why Professor Omar always says you go for the neck. You got 2 arms and 2 legs, but only fucking 1 neck.
Yeah. Crazy. I did not say that. By the way,
I hope someone.
This guy antagonizing.
I hope someone that watches this knows some Navy SEALs and hits him a little tag.
Hey, bring him to the gym. We'll train together. We're supposed to get a sheriff come to our gym. The sheriff of Riverside.
Oh, really? That dude's a wild boy.
He's supposedly going to come train at our gym. Yeah,
that fool's a wild ass boy.
He's supposed to be coming to the gym to train.
I'll fuck that fool up. I think he's like 60 years old.
Yeah, he's an old cat. Yeah. But dude, overall, I definitely want to do the experience. I want to do it again. For me, the biggest thing for me is like meeting people and like
it's the networking
and talking.
Part of it.
Yeah,
but that was also the other part of it was learning how to become a better owner of a school and the networking side. That's the whole point of the meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I enjoyed it. Like, it was really good. I had a lot of fun. For me, it was worth it. And just to meet people and to hear people's stories and hear their passion. And I came out of it, to myself, personally, came out like, fuck, I want to get better. Like, I came out like, I want to get better. Like, watching these legends, talking to these guys, and like how fucking good they are. I'm like, man, I want to be on that level. I want to get that fucking good. Yeah, and so for me, it kind of gave me a little bit of motivation to be like, man, I got to keep training. I got to keep trying harder. I got to keep focusing on my technique. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's what it made me want to be better. To be honest.
One thing on that about like, I was thinking about this. Sorry, as you were saying that, I was thinking about another topic we'll bring up next time, but kind of about sandbagging. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the homie Joe? Remember this dude? We're talking to this dude, and he kind of just, it's cool. Everyone is jumping in on everyone's conversation, right? So he kind of jumps in, and he was like, yeah, I used to train with Kyla Harrison.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. What, doing judo? And he was like, yeah. So he didn't elaborate on it.
Yeah.
And then we're talking, and then we're talking about about Uchimatas.
Yeah.
And this fool grabs John.
Yeah, he grabbed me.
And the way he grabbed John,
I was like, oh shit.
And the face you made, I was like, oh, this boy does judo.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. The way he grabbed me, his grips, and the way he went for the fucking throw, and he didn't throw me, but he did the whole technique quick. And next thing you know, I'm like off my feet.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck.
And this dude's like 160 pounds.
Yeah, he's super light. And he goes, I think we were talking about throwing bigger guys or something. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I could probably throw you. And then he's like, oh, you're pretty solid. And then he fucking did it. I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, he would have just threw the fuck out of me. Turns out he's a fucking black belt.
He's a second-degree black belt, and he trained at the Olympic Judo, Judo Center with fucking Jimmy Paper.
I was like, god damn, this dude would fuck me up.
This was a purple belt.
Yeah, he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but a black belt.
So I think respectfully, I could have smashed like 75% of the people there.
Oh my god.
Not this dude.
I don't know about that. There's a
lot of old dudes. A lot of old dudes whining about a lot of old shit. Come see me on these mats, dog.
Bring it. We'll record it.
I'm not afraid.
But
especially Devin. Devin kept ducking me.
There's a lot of people there that I was like, I'd like to. I know I'm gonna get my ass handed to me.
Yeah,
but I'd like to roll with him just to be like, man, I got fucking smashed by fucking Tim Kennedy, or I got smashed by fucking Megaton.
I would not roll with Tim Kennedy.
I would.
I think I would take a no to that one.
I would roll with him.
You might come away hurt.
I don't think he's gonna hurt you, but he's gonna be.
I think he's gonna accidentally hurt you.
He's a monster.
But Devin, the fucking guy, the Devastator, motherfucking nicknamed himself the Devastator, was ducking me all weekend. I brought extra gis. On Sunday, I brought a different gi that I like to roll in, so I could really.
Did anyone roll afterwards?
Nah, but to really give him the work.
He's gonna give you the work.
He ducked me. Duck.
I know someone's gonna get it next time he comes back.
next time he's gonna be quacking when he's around here.
Anyways, good times. We had a lot of good experience. A lot of fun jokes. The vibe was cool. Everyone was joking around. I thought it was really cool. Really good experience overall. I mean, it was just, I don't know. Shout out to Professor Omar, for fucking giving us that invite.
All his
it was definitely
professor.
It was definitely cool. And then also the respect that everyone was giving Omar was cool. Like,
and when they all found out where we were from.
Yeah. As soon as they found out that like we trained with Omar, it was like,
okay,
all right, we're
cool. We're not done. We're not done. I got a couple more things to talk about. So I'm sitting there at the bar, and I'm wearing this Omar hoodie, which everyone kind of like. Omar kind of gave me a look. Like, why are you wearing that hoodie? But I'm wearing the Omar hoodie. It says Omar Salam really fucking big on the back, or on the front, and his logo on the back. And one of those dudes from Florida comes up to me, and he's like, and I turn around. He's a big dude. I turn around. He was like, "Hey, is that hoodie like only for like people that train with Omar?" I was like, "No, you can buy one." And he's like, "Really?"
Oh yeah, I think I heard you talk about it.
I was like, "Yeah, hit me up on the gram. I'll fucking get you one." You know what I mean? But on a different subject, real quick, did you watch any of that karate combat shit this weekend?
I didn't watch. I just saw Craig Jones fucking triangle.
Dude, that
put
karate,
that dude to sleep a few times. Yeah,
that karate combat shit is popping.
Yeah,
dog.
it's getting big.
Fuck it, I could not believe it.
It is a perfect arena for jiu-jitsu.
Dude, Luke Rockhold.
Oh, I saw that.
Joe Schilling.
I saw that. I was like,
I would have put any money on Schilling on that fight. Do you know who Joe Schilling is?
Yeah.
Oh my! I would have put any money on Joe Schilling.
Luke Rockhold's a fucking savage.
Dude, he hit him with like this little weak ass like check hook, and I was like, "What the?" Laid him out.
Yeah.
And then that's what I wanted to talk about the Craig Jones. I only caught the Craig Jones highlights. He put that dude to sleep. So if you guys didn't watch this, Craig Jones has this crazy Russian dude in a triangle, and he looks at the ref and he's like, "Hey mate, he's asleep." And the ref looks over, and Craig opens the triangle, and the dude kind of pops up. He's like, "I'm not asleep." And the ref's like, "No, he's good." So they let him set the triangle back up. He sets the triangle back up, rolls over to mount the triangle, and the dude's passed out again.
Yeah.
Craig gets off, and he's like, doing his little celebration. The dude gets up and single legs Craig.
He was joking.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just saw the clips. Yeah,
he was joking. Like, he was joking afterwards. He was like, because everyone thought he was serious when he got up.
Yeah.
They thought he was like still going for it. Even Craig was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
But then he was like, "I'm just joking." He's playing with him. But yeah, dude, that was like the UFC fight. In the fight, that one girl got put to sleep. The Chinese chick got put to sleep, and then they were like, they let her go. They let her keep going again. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, back on the
that UFC, was a really good fight.
Back on the UFC thing, fucking the coolest thing about it is we're watching it, and I'm mad because I wanted Max Holloway to win, but I put a bet against him because I thought Gaethje was going to destroy him. So I'm downstairs. I'm telling everyone about this bet upstairs because it was one of the black bets.
Yeah.
I told him he had to let me tap him.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but he's from Professor Isaac. So I was like, "Yo, dude, you better get ready because I'm gonna come tap you." So everyone's got to look, and you got to say tap. So anyway, he's getting dusted, and we're watching. I was like, "Fuck, man, Gaethje really lost his fight. I got to go pay," because he said he just wanted $5 or whatever. We were betting, and then Max hits him and knocks him out, and everybody, Royler, Lemon, Fabrizio, everyone was all, "Oh!"
Yeah,
it's like everybody has the same reaction.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like no matter how high level you are in the game, everyone's got the same reaction.
Yeah. Dude, that was definitely going to go up there. This event will definitely go up in one of my
I'm gonna say
favorite
this.
jiu-jitsu experiences.
Besides meeting my kid and my wife, that was probably the best experience of my life.
It was good.
It was awesome.
It was a great
See,
time.
but you don't like jiu-jitsu like I like jiu-jitsu.
I thought it was a great time. It was definitely up, like I said, it's up there in terms of like jiu-jitsu experience.
Definitely better than getting married, right?
No, not better than getting married. Trying to get me in trouble?
Yes.
No. I mean, for me though, like in terms of experiences, like you went to Rome because of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I went to fucking Europe because of jiu-jitsu. So in short, like it's crazy to see that like we're in the fucking middle of fucking nowhere, and it's taking us to different events, meeting different. And
then like you meet dudes who are like real dudes who like really want to, everyone's cool, like.
Very
that's
friendly,
why you can't. That's why you can't leave. That's why you can't quit, and you can't leave your team, Bobby. And you can't quit, Bobby.
Can't quit.
That's why you can't, because you meet dudes in jiu-jitsu you're never going to meet again. All those guys, like those old school guys, have been friends for like 30-something years, and they're like boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They came up together, and then if you think about it, they all came up. They're on the same path that we're on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like 20, 30 years from now,
Yep.
like maybe, we'll be in that same fucking position, It's kind of crazy.
I don't know if I got 30 left in me, but I got 10.
I got
10. I got 10
I got
for
a
sure.
solid 10
Yeah,
for
I got
sure.
a solid 10
A
left.
solid 10.
Yeah. Hopefully I get a stripe. One stripe white belt or black belt.
like-
That's my goal.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
That'll happen. There's that. I saw this video of this brown belt. He's probably like 60, 65.
Old Asian dude?
Yeah, old Asian dude. Yeah. They were doing a belt promotion, and they were like, they called him and he got his black belt, and he was like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Me?" He's like, "Fucking me." And I thought that was fucking cool. And then he gave a speech afterwards, and he was just talking about how he got into jiu-jitsu, and he just did it for his kids and this and that. So it really is like, I don't like saying it, but it is like a family. Like I don't. Like all my friends now are from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. But is it like a family or is it like a cult? I'll let y'all decide.
Yeah, you tell us.
You tell us. Yeah.
Anyways,
that's it.
Yeah, that's all we got. Again, sorry for missing the fucking podcast last week.
I had to sleep.
It was busy. It's like that was probably. We tried. I brought the camera and everything, but it was just so.
Yeah, we couldn't get the time.
It was so packed. Days were so packed, and then we were driving. It was so hard to fucking get it done. So, appreciate you guys. It was a good one. If you guys ever get a chance to do something like that, I'd highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's definitely worth it.
But you can't come to our association because we're elitist and you're not invited.
Anyways, peace.
Megaton Lifestyle.